somebody. We're going to start with some introductions here in a minute. But yeah, In Young, hello. I'm going to put your name in the bowl so you can. Oh, but you have to leave early. Is that right? You have to.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to go all the way till 3, but I'll go ahead. I'll put you in. It's you can share first since you have to leave early. I remember you telling me that. So we have a couple more people. Margaret and Carla are not here yet, but let's go ahead. Patty, you want to say a few things and then we can get started?
Sure. Hi, Lisa. Hi, everybody. So good to see everyone and all the new people too. I'm looking forward to hearing some more stories. I am Patty Ashley here in Taos, New Mexico, where I've been for the past 6 months, and one foot still in Boulder, Colorado, which is where I had the opportunity to meet Billy and many of you for years, and to be part of the amazing retreats that she brought to us with Jeremy for what, 20 years, 20 retreats, 10 years.
2003 to 2015, total of 27 retreats that I've co-hosted with him.
And I had been doing a dream group in Virginia before I moved to Colorado in 1998, and we were using Jeremy's book. So when I met Billy and then found out she was bringing Jeremy into town, I thought my life was complete. So I miss that man, like all of us do, deeply, and the wisdom that he shared. And I love being with those of you who, like Laura and Billy, who can kind of reiterate even his language sometimes. And I feel like he's in the room, and it's just, it's something when we lose people that we really love, we miss that. And so that's why Billy and I decided to do this, to honor him. Can't believe it's been 5 years. A lot's happened in 5 years, but he still seems so close to my heart, and I know all of yours too. So yeah, I think maybe a moment of silence just to kind of connect with Jeremy for a minute and see. He's actually with us, so we just take a second to just be in our hearts with him.
Well, and I'm going to ring the bowl with that too, because that's how we call in dream language. I mean, the dream energy.
So I guess that's all I have to say, because my name's in the bowl too, right? And I'll share my stories when when that happens.
Yeah, let me do that now.
It'll just be random, and Billy will explain all that when we get there. But
yeah,
and so all right. Ding, and our moment of silence.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody, and Billy Cheryl Ortiz.
Yeah, that's my full name. All right, so let's start with Inyong, since you mentioned to me by email that you do have to leave early. So why don't you go ahead and start with your story, please?
Hi, my name is Inyong. I am in south of Denver. Yeah, just during the last 7 years. And I met Jeremy Taylor 2005 in Seoul, Korea. Yeah, it was the second time he did travel to Korea to open to the dream work. So for me, it was the first time, and it was very, yeah. When I saw the advertising about the dream work by Jeremy Taylor, and it was the for 3 nights and 4 days. So I thought, what they will do with dream for 3 nights. I thought there are many, uh, uh, how can I say that? Yeah, I cannot explain in English. So anyway, I had a very curious dream when I was 20-year-old. So really, I'd like to know the meaning of the dream. So I decided, okay, let's try. And then it was when I got to the room, the hall for the dream work, I was very shocked. Why? It was crowded. There were almost 100 people.
Wow.
How come? So, and in my eyes, in my memory, 50% of them, they are Catholic sisters because the organizer was a Catholic sisters, and then the rest of them were like me, yeah, like us. And then I was very lucky. Yeah, I could hear his his projection, yeah, in the big groups. So
Oh.
I never forget. I cannot forget his projection. So my dream, that's the dream that I got. I was 20 years old. So in one part, I in the end of the dream, I pull out an angel, little angel, to this direction. So, so it was funny. So most of the people they were Catholics, so they said, "I have to become a sister, Catholic sister."
Oh.
They projected like that.
Yeah.
So the reason why your life you get suffering, you are in suffer in your life because you don't become a Catholic sister. People said.
But I'm curious, did Jeremy have some sort of comment related to that for you?
Sure, I could hear his projection. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So, so really, I didn't want to become a Catholic sister.
That's what I'm wondering, if Jeremy said something in those lines of,
Yeah.
well, why would you? I'm wondering, why would that be? I don't know. Just wondering what he had said.
Yeah, now I can know there are many archetypal symbols in the dream, like John and the angel and the cloud and the sky, and there are many things. So Jeremy Taylor did that said that if it was his dream, this part recently it is impressed me. He said it's not that easy to live with the angel in my heart. Because there is no school how you can live with the angel in the world. You cannot learn that. So you like if it was his dream, it is too difficult to live. And then recently, really, I recall many times. Yeah, sometimes recently I had a relationship with a person has big power, like a vice president, but I opened the relationship to everyone. Here is I shared that, but others they don't just close the relationship. So in one moment, I am how can I say that I am alone. Yeah, I get isolated anyway. So and then at the second year, and in the first year, I got the projection from Jeremy, one more thing with the dream. So my character is in the dream is very very unique that in the dream I can see the every moment to change it from the cloud. It changed into pigeon. Pigeon changed into angel. But during the dream, I can recognize every the change. So
Wow.
yeah, it is also very helpful. I can understand what is my character. Yeah, so recently I do the dream work with the Koreans, so and I can use my character, yeah, for the people. So and then okay, today I do like to share the story like that, and then I do like to share the picture, Jeremy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Jeremy on the picture in Korea. So just yeah, let me share. Yeah,
You're going to screen share it?
yeah, I'd
Okay.
like to that, but now
You have to make her a host, I think, for
yeah.
her share.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I prepared it, but now I cannot find that. So
You
Well-
can just click on allow participants, multiple participants to screen share.
where's
That'll open it up without the co-host thing.
yeah, thank you for letting me know that. But I
invite?
cannot find the picture. I'm sorry. I yeah.
Oh, when I click on participants, Lisa, it gives me invite or copy invite link. It doesn't help me. Or screen share under.
You
Oh,
click on screen share,
Yeah.
and that's where it'll ask you if you want to let
Okay,
multiple participants screen share at the same time.
there. Okay, now I've allowed it. So if you're able to share it, if not, you can send me the image and I can send it out to people later.
Yeah, I think it's better, but I cannot find the picture.
Oh, okay. All right.
I sent that. I kept that in my email, but now I cannot find it. I'm sorry.
So are you finished with your story, or is there anything else you want to share? Because I was going to pull another name. Is it
I think yeah, it's all. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the listening. So
great?
I am.
I remember Jeremy traveling to Korea, and I know he came how many years in a row? Like 3 or 4 years in a row or something, right?
7 or 8 years. Pretty long.
Wow, that long.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He
And I-
loved Korea. Yeah. He
Yes,
loved.
really. I didn't realize it was quite that long. Well, thank you for sharing all that. Okay, so the next person out of the bowl is Elizabeth.
Ah, I actually don't have all the amazingly long stories that some of you have, but I don't know how many retreats I went to. 5, 6, 7, quite a few. Last one was, I think, 2013 when in Loveland after the floods.
Yes.
And I think what always amazed me is how many levels and layers you would come at with the dream. I mean, one session I remember is all my dream was is I have to remember to charge my German cell phone. And we spent like an hour and a half on it.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it was really meaningful. And I also always liked when we would sit in a circle and we would all say, this is our religious practice. We don't go to church. We meditate. We may have other connections, but this is a spiritual connection for all of us.
Yes.
And I really liked that. So yeah, I can't believe he's gone 5 years and it was so sudden, but I assume they had a pact to leave together. So
Right.
so he will look over us and bless your retreats.
Sometimes I hear him whispering in my ear, that's for sure. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere. I'm like, whoa, I can feel it.
I bet he's still there. He's watching.
I would not doubt that at all. I think Royce just wrote me in the chat that he had to restart his computer, so he'll be back later. So anything else, Elizabeth, you wanted to share?
Well, I just wondered, Patty was saying she did dream work in Virginia, and I now live in Dulles or Herndon, Virginia, right by Dulles Airport. So I don't know. I haven't connected with anything spiritual here whatsoever, not even a meditation group.
Well,
And
I
I kind of miss it.
was lucky to live in Virginia Beach, right near the Edgar Cayce.
Oh, okay, yeah, near Edgar Cayce and all that stuff.
Pat McNeil, I don't know if you did any of the Tarot groups with us that Billy and I did during the pandemic, but Pat McNeil was the one who started me in the dream group and the Women Who Run with the Wolves group in that area. And then I also did it with a woman who now is in, she's moved to North Carolina to I think Wilmington. What was her name? She's joined a couple times too. Kelly. So
Yeah.
I don't know that Northern Virginia area very well. I know people who live up there, but.
Where are you, Elizabeth?
Right by Dulles Airport, like
Because
literally
I'm in
minutes.
Silver Spring.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in Herndon.
Okay.
I'm not far.
Dream group. There we go. There you go.
Yeah, we should
Your
connect.
niece is definitely connected to the dream image.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go ahead and choose another name. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I know Elizabeth has another story. Come on, Elizabeth. You've done so many retreats with us. Something you remember Jeremy saying. That's what I love to hear is like the things the wisdom that would come out of that man was remarkable.
Well, I think what I always liked was him saying, I don't know if we have time for a short dream.
That happened all the time. People say,
Yeah.
we have to go to lunch. Well, I have just this short dream. And Jeremy and I,
Oh.
we go, oh no, we don't have time for a short one. All right, let's see who else comes out of the bowl here. Susan.
I love
Susan.
Oh my. Yeah, I, just sort of realized how many different encounters, as we were talking, and Donna reminded me of a couple things that I had forgotten. But I guess one of the memories that I wanted to share was, I went on a retreat that it was called Dreaming in the Labyrinth. And it was actually physically in Chartres, France.
Oh,
And
Jeremy.
Yeah. He was invited by an Episcopal priest who was in the San Francisco area, who did retreats basically around the labyrinth in Chartres. Other kinds of that, but she decided that she would invite people to go to France, with Jeremy being sort of the main attraction, doing dream work. And I was thrilled to be there. It was always one of my dreams to go to walk in the labyrinth in the Chartres Cathedral, and the fact that Jeremy was going to be there made it seem like, okay, have a date, kind of thing, that I wasn't just going on my own. I mean, I was going with a group, but like there was somebody there that I felt like I really knew. And one of the most profound things is that on one occasion, I think it was like Friday night of the week that we were there, we had the cathedral to ourselves for where the labyrinth was, and all of the chairs were taken off the labyrinth so that those of us that were in this retreat could walk in it. And someone was playing a flute, I believe.
Wow.
Just marvelous music. And it was, aside from the dream work, which was of course extraordinary, that we were there, it just felt like such a precious moment to share that labyrinth with. And Yeah, and we were silent, you know, aside from the music, the participants were silent, but
Mm.
I just appreciated him being there. You know, I now wish I had asked him more about his projections on that whole thing, because I would have been very interested in hearing, you know, what he thought about walking in the labyrinth. But
Mm.
yeah, I guess I just always took it for granted that I was going to have the chance to circle back to that, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I wish now that I had, but I suppose I could make my projections on right in that.
And just remind us again, Susan, where you're located. So
Where I'm located
Yes.
currently in Hyde Park, New York.
okay.
It's Mid Hudson Valley.
All right, great. Well, I'm so glad you could join us today. Thank you for that. Let's see who else.
That's a place on my bucket list, and thanks for reminding me of that. I'm very excited to go there, and I had no idea that he had done that there. And you know what I've heard is the people who've been there say they do keep the chairs that cover up the labyrinth, and then they move them like one day of the week. Maybe they moved them specially if it was a different day, or maybe it was that day. But to me, that's what I thought was that covering up the labyrinth is covering up the divine feminine, you know, that journey of going inward in our walk in the labyrinth. And so here's this church, you know, that moves them one day a week. to
Let's let the feminine out.
Yeah, and I too wonder what Jeremy might say. I've taken tours to the south of France, the Mary Magdalene sites, and the woman who was our tour guide passed away last year. So I was just thinking about what would it be like to go over there without her, and then to hear your story about Jeremy having been there. I'm just thinking, there needs to be a trip to Chartres coming up. But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Jeremy said during the trip that you remember, his words?
I, you know, I mean, he did a lot more talking about the theoretics of how we got into doing dream work, and I still find I still find his stories about that. There's always caveats that I haven't heard, you know, all of a sudden that I hear, and I guess in hearing that story again, it's like how I connected on a soul level in terms of what I would call a prophetic path that he was on, you know, and start doing his dream work. But it especially came to light to me in that particular instance, that you know, how he started doing dream work is sort of like a last ditch effort, you know, to bring a group together, like, because everything else seemed to have failed. And yeah, so that's yeah, I tend to go toward the theoretics of things sometimes, like, because if I want to understand something, I want to know the theory behind it, or the journey behind it. But his personal journey to me was highlighted for me during that trip.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have Laura.
Thank you. Well, Patty Ashley, you are in luck.
I knew it.
It's one of the things I found, and I don't even know when I made this file, but I have just like a couple of pages of notes from my dream journals from 2009 and 2010 of Jeremy quotes and paraphrases.
Yeah.
So I've starred some of them. I'll share those with you. Just because you're dead doesn't mean you're smart. That was one of my one of my favorites, where he warned us against, believing everything the ghosts say.
Interesting, huh?
Let's see. We will find our true calling whether we want to intellectually or not. We can go to Nineveh by boat or by whale. That has stuck with me. I was just thinking about this one the other day. There's his there's not a better or a worse loser prayer than "let this cup pass from me." Right? He said, "We're born homesick, suffering from transplant shock, with a sense of mission, homesick for the oneness, but that never really left. In the Earth game, the rules are time and space." I was thinking about this the other day too. The trickster gets us to participate with cheerful enthusiasm in our own dissolution.
Say that again. That's a good one. Say it again. So
The trickster gets us to participate with cheerful enthusiasm in our own disillusion.
wow, that's really good. I haven't heard that one. That's good.
And then this was just so poetic. He was talking about liminal spaces where unconscious and conscious meet and make love and have strange children.
Oh. Can you say that one again too? These are just so profound.
What's that?
We have to soak in.
I know. Just repeat it. I just want to hear it again.
Okay.
So
He
beautiful.
was talking about liminal spaces where unconscious and conscious meet and make love and have strange children.
Uh-huh.
This is one we all heard more than once, I bet. When it comes to working your own dreams, knowledge is no help. This one I think about almost every day is comment that the bathroom is where we have the potential to be the most honest with ourselves. And if I see myself in a mirror in a dream, it's who I really am. It's being totally honest with myself. Okay, and then from August 29th, 2010, a quote from Billy. When Jeremy says, "I don't know where this is coming from, but I'll say it anyway," duck and cover. And then the final thing was, I remember this wonderful conversation where he was talking about how groups that he knew that he went to frequently all had their own shadow. And me, being me, said, "So what's ours?" And he said, "The Colorado group's shadow is spiritual power. We are capable of taking the ring. The more aware we become, the less possible it is to retreat to the sleep of unconsciousness."
Whoa. Wow.
And then the other couple things I pulled up was when I first started my First Church of Metaphor website and was asking people for poetry, Jeremy sent me the Antonio Machado poem, so I could read that. And then I also have a few photos I can share. Last night as I lay sleeping, I dreamed, marvelous error, that a spring was breaking out here in my heart. I asked, along what hidden aqueduct, "Oh, water, are you coming to me? Water of a new life that I have never tasted before?" Last night as I lay sleeping, I dreamed, marvelous error, that I had a beehive here inside my heart. and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed, marvelous error, that a fiery sun was giving light inside my heart. It was fiery because I felt the warmth as from a hearth, and sun because the light it gave caused my eyes to weep. Last night, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed, marvelous error, that it was God I had here inside my heart. So the notes are that that's translated by Robert Bly with small emendations by Jeremy Taylor. So let me see if I can pull up the photos.
And marvelous error. I never understood why Robert Bly translated it like that, because it really should read sacred illusion. And if you read it, I had my husband translate it directly. He said, "Well, marvelous error doesn't make any sense here," so we never could figure out why he put it like that. But that was.
And what is it? What's the real translation, Billy? What'd you say?
Sacred illusion.
Sacred illusion, marvelous error, right?
Yeah. So, but what happened? Oh, you're sharing. I thought, oh no, what have I done?
Can you see that?
Yeah, that's a beautiful picture.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's Lisa.
Lisa. There's looks like I'm ready to get up and start running or something. Yeah.
Oops, sorry. That went by fast. This was pretty early on.
Yeah. Oh, that's the Caritas Center, yeah. With
the skeleton in the background.
I was going to say that's a remarkable.
Who's that person in the background?
That's it.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Laura, you just look so happy next to him, like he's soulmate or something. Like, I know how much he meant.
Well, I mean, that first connection that we had when I first heard him speak, and I thought, God, he's so familiar. And I knew I hadn't met him. And I went up to ask a question, and he was like, "Have we met? You seem so familiar." And I thought, okay, aha. And then he gave that lecture that night and talked about negative aha. If someone's like, "No, absolutely, I don't." And my dream came out of the hat, and I did exactly that. That was on Saturday. And I realized it that night and went back the next morning and said, "Yeah, I did that, didn't I?" He said, "Yep, you did."
So and that's so many things can be traced back to that workshop in 2000 at Naropa. I mean, I met you and I met Mike Tappan, and so many other people were there. It was so amazing.
And I was there Friday night, and I didn't do the whole thing. And every time I hear you guys talk about it, I'm like, I was supposed to be there. I just did the Friday night because I was always on a budget. So
on the outskirts, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Laura, that was awesome.
Yeah. I wasn't.
Give me more.
One more. I'll just say I wasn't sure if I was going to do the workshop, but after that conversation, I was like, okay, I have to do this. Yeah. I mean, Jeremy was responsible for so much. He inspired poetry in me. He inspired this set of novels that I'm still working on. Mm-hmm. That was a direct gift. I felt that just like a energetic zing in the middle of dream work. All of a sudden I had this idea for 4 books. Thank you, Jeremy.
Oh.
So
thanks, Laura. And you're located in?
I'm in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, so let's just so everybody knows where we're coming from. Lisa, you're the next.
Hang on.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, Patty.
Because I'm just feeling his presence so much right now, and it just is like kind of giving me the chills kind of thing. And of course, dreamer's choice, but Laura, the way you said he described what happened after we die, it was always fascinating to me. And again, dreamer's choice if you want to share, but do you remember that the way towards the end before he passed, he was sharing something with you about that?
Yeah, so he talked a lot about well, towards the end, he was having a lot of dreams with lots of different bubbles. But what he shared with me, it was at one of the retreats at the haunted place down in Colorado Springs.
Right.
He talked about, I think it was a Mark Twain idea that he really liked of we scatter like the seeds of a milkweed, and we mix it up and reconstellate and come back as some other entity. And I was like, okay, but that thing we've always talked about where it was pretty clear we had some kind of soul contract to meet. I was like, so is that just like these bits of my milkweed and those bits? And he's like, yeah. So that was what he talked about with that. And I thought about that a lot when he had those bubble dreams toward the end of his life. Yeah. Just lots of, he had so many parts to himself. I think that was just processing all of that.
Do you think you knew he was gonna die?
I think he had some premonitions of feeling that his life was coming near its end. I mean,
that was how he was understanding his dreams at the time too.
And also because he kept projecting so much about ancestors too. At the very end there, like that last 3 to 5 years, it was just every single projection was like, if this were my dream, these people showing up for me are my ancestors. The people that I know that are there for me, but I don't recognize them, those groups that we all deal with in our dreams. And I heard that projection over and over again. And I thought, that's so interesting that he's hit that point. Somehow that seemed to be the truth for him. So Lisa, you came out of the bowl.
Can I say something real quick since we're talking about these dreams that Jeremy had at the end? I talked to Jeremy 6 weeks before he died, and he shared a dream with me in which he was going into a country that he couldn't understand the language. And I said something to someone. He also said something to me that indicated, I mean, when I got the information that he had passed, I'm like, oh yeah, he said something that I wondered why he said that to me. And it was sort of a precognitive statement about him leaving. But at any rate, someone I spoke to later said, well, supposedly when we pass over, that initially we can't speak, we can't understand the language. And I had never heard that in terms of, I don't know if this is from the Tibetan tradition. I don't even know who said it to me and what it was, or what tradition it was around. But I thought, oh, that's very interesting. And that in the dream, he was going someplace and he couldn't understand the language. And I thought, after hearing what that person said to me, I thought, oh, there was part of him that knew he was getting ready to go where he couldn't initially, he didn't know the language. So I just wanted to share that, given what we were talking about.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Lisa, it's been a couple.
Well, I wanted to say at that, that last time I was at one of your groups, pre-pandemic, out at that ranch. Anyway, you had given me the DreamWork Toolkit thing, and I wanted to show you that that's in my office.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And that whenever I talk about Jeremy, which tends to be a lot, I can just gesture toward his little face over there.
That's so great. I'm glad you
Yeah, so that's there. And one of the things that still just cracks me up that Jeremy would say often when we would be doing the physical integration with yoga and stuff after the dream work is he would say, I love my body. It does a great job carrying my head around. I just I get to use that one a lot.
Mhm.
The things that are standing out, and I didn't even think about going to the notes of all of these,
Mm.
dream weekends and pulling out those quotes. That would have been amazing because I've got so many. But one of the things I remember, and I think Laura was just kind of talking about this indirectly, was he said that he really felt that Tolkien had missed this huge opportunity, like for Gandalf to take the ring and use the power for good. And so sometimes when there's so much Lord of the Rings stuff going on right now, and so I think of Jeremy a lot about, oh, what would that have looked like, and what would that have informed humanity about metaphorically and everything. So I think about that. And I also, we had just the best time because I was working with him every other month for a few years. And I noticed that he would study whatever, like I was working with the Orishas, with the African Orishas, that set of archetypes. So he would study it, right? And so he'd like get back to me about all these things that he found out about Nana Baruku, or things he found out about Oshun. And he was so proud of himself, studying it and studying, series of TV shows that were on, that were showing up in people's dreams, and always researching so that that vocabulary also spoke to him when people would share. And one of the times we had the most fun with something was a waking dream where I had a medicine Buddha empowerment. I always meant to. It took me 7 years to get to the place to do it. And a week later, this girl took a picture of me. She just said, "Oh, jump up there in those rocks and get in prayer pose, and I'll take it and meditate, and I'll take a picture of you." And this blue light came out, which was this medicine Buddha thing. And he loved that so much. He brought it up so much. And the thing that he was getting the biggest tickle about with it was that he saw Tibetan Buddhism as a very patriarchal system. And he says, "Here's this picture of you. You're female." He says, "In the picture, you're the medicine Buddha." And oh, that would rock so many boats. And he just loved it. And there was a pattern in the rocks behind me that looked also like a dragon, and he saw that as a feminine archetype. And he just loved how, oh, if this ever gets out, this is going to just upset so many people. He loved that. And then one of the things I've really been able to use with my clients a lot, that it happens sometimes, I just remember this so much because it's one of those like heart moments where there was so much intellectual wonderfulness going on with Jeremy all the time, and then every so often these like really deep kind of difficult heart moments. And I had a dream, oh my gosh, this is like almost 25, no, it couldn't be 25 years ago, but like 20 years ago. And it was like a really positive dream, and I couldn't wait to share it with him. And he got very somber, and very serious and very compassionate. And he said, "Well, I'm very sorry about this dream." And I was like, "Why?" It was so fun. And he says, "It's a dream that shows that you're entering another level of evolution. And every time you do that, there's going to be less people that you can actually talk to." And So whenever one of those dreams had come up, he'd just say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And it was just so sweet. It's like, congratulations, and oh, that sucks. So it was very sweet. So that's all I've jotted down to bring up today. I know that toward the end of his life, he was voicing to me that he was really afraid that he was going to pass uh before his wife, and that would be like the worst thing that could happen. So I know when some of us had dinner here in Boulder soon after, and that little piece of information clicked into the puzzle, that it helped us make sense about how he transitioned so fast after her, doing that amazing thing that so few couples do, that we know is, an archetypal drama that happens. But that he was holding on for so long.
Yeah. He was really holding on at the end. I could tell that. I mean, when I last worked with him in person in 2015, I didn't realize that was the last time I'd work with him, but I could just feel how weary he was, and how his body was just given out. And when I wanted to do the spring retreat in 2016, I had the hardest time getting hold of Kathy and him. They wouldn't return my calls or my emails. So I wasn't sure what the hell was going on. And finally I had to get really intense and say, listen, if you want me to buy a plane ticket, you got to get in touch with me soon. And then finally he contacted me and said, I'm not going to be traveling anymore. And I think my projection was that he really was hanging on to the Colorado group, because it wasn't that difficult. See, because it wasn't as hard of a trip for him from California to Denver. It wasn't quite the haul that he has to do when he had to go all the way out east. So it was like, I think they had huge fights around it. And I think Kathy was clinging to him because she was so ill as well. And like I said, this is my projection. And like Patty and I say all the time, this is what I'm making up about what happened. But there was certainly this tension, and it was never like that before. And I think it was really difficult for him to finally say, no, I'm not going to be traveling. And then we tried to bring him in, remember, remote that first time in 2016, and it really didn't work all that well. So anyway, yeah. So definitely I felt that being near him, I could feel his body just aches and pains he was feeling. So
and one more little memory, because it's one of those mirror dreams. Because he got so excited about this dream. And of course, now that I have all this silver in my hair, I'm remembering this dream and remembering him and remembering his excitement about the dream. But my hair just barely had any silver in it at all then. And I was looking in the mirror and running my hands through my hair. And every time I ran my hands through my hair, it got more and more silver until I had silver hair. And that's really helped me go ahead and grow it out and stuff, because if there was a bright light on me, it looks like my hair is all silver instead of still as dark as it is. But he loved like the presence of the goddess coming through, and the crone, and the silver of the goddess. He was so excited about it. So that's always uplifting for me when I look in the mirror and I see the silver. It's like, oh, Jeremy.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, we're all owning our goddess. We're getting there. So Royce, your name came out of the bowl. Are you with us, Royce?
Hey, Billy, I'm going to interrupt you yet again, because I want to know more about the mirror. I don't remember. I mean, Laura said something about the mirror, and you're saying something about the mirror. I remember Chuck's thing about the mirror. He knew he was dreaming because his eyes were closed. So any of you have any more mirror thoughts? Because I don't remember what Jeremy would say about the mirror. Like,
just the archetypal whole thing about the projection being a mirror too. I hadn't remembered, like Laura said, about it being more your true self. But I know that he celebrated whenever we would remember having a mirror dream,
Right. Right.
because it was something that we couldn't see with our own eyeballs. You know, the eye can't perceive itself unless it's in a mirror or a photo. So, um, so he would always think that that was something to celebrate.
Oh,
And yeah, I even was like trying to look at my back in a mirror
Oh, that's
and
yeah.
getting in this weird position to see. And he's like, I just love that because it's even your back and it's in the mirror.
That's good.
and what did you say about it, Laura, again? Is that what it was? Like we see ourselves more clearly, or what was it you said?
And I think what I wrote down was that it's a way to see our, or it can be a reflection of our authentic selves. You know, I think it's a mirror in a dream is coming face to face with at least one aspect of who I am, right? And
Oh, and
yeah.
it comes with the metaphor of self-reflection.
Mhm.
Haha, you know, which is what dreams are all about.
Okay, so we'll have to tell Chuck about that, Billy, when we
Yeah,
talk.
And
I
it
will.
would be something trying to come to consciousness, right? Because we can't otherwise see it.
I would believe so. We could work it for a long while. Let's Royce, why don't we go ahead and move on to Royce so we can get a few more people in before it's getting to the 1 hour mark.
So I'm having trouble with my headphones and my microphone, and I don't know why. I've been playing around with settings, so that part of me is frustrated. You can hear me though? Okay, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to free memory here. I remember when Jeremy would go to Korea, and it's like so he would just get back and he would have a day's full of sessions.
Yeah.
And I said, Jeremy, what? You know, where's the jet lag? And he would just kind of slough it off, not saying he didn't have it, because he did. And he would just work. And it's like that sometimes in my projection pissed me off. That, you know, where was the self-care that I so loved to learn about myself, and the in my projection, the push, if I were Jeremy, that I did to myself. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. And while we're talking, you know, a couple other awarenesses. One of my sorrows, and in some ways, maybe happiness, is that I'm the only guy today, and we don't have a lot of guys that do this kind of work. And I'm disappointed about that. I project that Jeremy was too, and yet, you know, the reality of how wounded our culture is, both masculine and feminine, the access to this part of our world and ourselves is limited. So I simply am noticing that today.
Yeah.
And in my work, in a lot of my present waking life work, I work a lot with military people, mostly men and some women. And several years back, when I started to do this specialized off-the-record counseling, I would bring this up to Jeremy, that, you know, I'm trying to sneak dream work in as I work with individuals on these military bases. And, you know, and lovely Jeremy enthusiasm has he'd brighten up because you're doing that with them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it has grown from them, and yet, and also it's been molecularly healing for these dreams to be worked on within the structure of our military world. And I'm always happy when a person, a military member, is willing to do a dream. And because, a lot of them have never used counseling before, so they don't know what the hell they're supposed to do. And so it's fun, because it's like, okay, the shrink says, let's do this, so let's do this, and that lovely innocence that sometimes people have. And the other day I was doing dream work with a young Navy member, and and I was explaining the projective dream work process, and all this time, Jeremy's here floating around in my heart, head in the room, conscious, unconscious in me. And so he had this interesting dream, and so I started projecting on it, and I explained, I'm not the expert, I'm going to borrow the dream. That's what I use, the term. And so it was really wonderful and deep. And at the end he says, "Hey, Royce, let's do one of your dreams." And it's like, this is not okay in clinical settings. You don't work on the therapist. And I just had this giggle out loud and inside. It's like, oh yes, praise God, praise goddesses. We've turned the tables in this false expertise hierarchy. And so I had a dream that I shared, and man, this guy took it, and he just, went with it and confronted me on some things in a gentle, beautiful way. It's like, wow, thank you for this moment. And so another aspect of my streaming dreaming at the moment is this sense of awareness of someone dying. And when Kathy was dying, and Jeremy was, to me, he was always careful about revealing dynamics between Kathy and him, as I was struggling with my own dynamics at one point during my marriage, and another point, after stuff. And yet, in the projective process, Jeremy was telling me about his journeys a bit. And when Kathy was dying, and I don't remember my last session with him, but it feels like it was right around the time Kathy was dying. And then I think I was supposed to have a session with him the next week or so. And either I did after she died, I don't remember, but, he died. And that kind of upset me, disappointed me, pissed me off. It's like, what did you opt out for? But I was telling him, and this is my stuff, Jeremy, can I just tell you what I think and feel? I said, as Kathy dies, I have a projection that if this were me, I could have a different kind of life because of this. And we all kind of knew the struggles, that he wanted to travel, couldn't travel, Kathy's dynamic and all that. And I said, if this were me, I want to expand and grow and have a new kind of life. And he didn't say much. He just kind of like thanked me for being honest, and the rest unfolded as it did. So I don't know where to go with that other than just to honor that and acknowledge that
Yeah.
His deep humanity and his deep love and his deep struggle, and did his best to not avoid the struggle, to do his best to embrace this struggle. And I guess I'm done.
Well, thank you for all that. And I wanted to let everybody know on the call, the people that don't know, that Royce and I co-host a podcast, and we often talk about our experiences with Jeremy. And you just reminded me of one of the episodes where you have dreams about Jeremy, where he arrives 3 different times. And that was one of the
the most recent one. In the same dream, he comes 3 different times. I've had 3 or 4 other dreams, but this one, he came 3 different times and was somewhat distorted each time. Kind of like a clone that is photocopied, and it just wasn't quite perfect each time.
What's the name of the podcast?
Healing Dreams Project. It's available on YouTube and all
everywhere.
Healing Dreams Project.
Yes.
Healing Dreams Project.
If you can watch on YouTube, it's fun because we interact with each other and there's a lot of faces and stuff. But if you prefer to listen, it's on everything like Apple and Spotify, everything.
I just put it in the chat. And I also want a little housekeeping. I know Billy and I, we talked about we might not go for 2 hours because it was a small group. And I keep interjecting and ask people to say more. So I want to be accountable for the fact that I did that, and know that Billy had mentioned something about maybe a break. So Billy, if you think we need to take like a 5 or 10 minute break, because I'd like to take the 2 hours because we still have I think 4 people or more left.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a break or do you want to keep going?
I'm okay without a break, but because we might be able to go for 90 minutes. I don't know. Let's just, I think how's everybody feel? If you need to get up and go, just shut off your video. And Patty, you're the one out of the bowl, so you get to share now. So go ahead.
Go to the bathroom. Just kidding. I did not. I just was aware, Billy, that I kind of feel like I kept hijacking everything today. I said, we'll probably go an hour and a half. We don't need a break. And then I started asking people to talk more. And now here we are. Because I love these stories, and I feel like it keeps me close to Jeremy. So thank you all for being here today. And I didn't want to rush it, and I really wanted more, as you could tell. Okay. So much is coming in, and I for me, because the serendipity was the sense I was getting of how I met you, Billy, and the tricksters things. Because I moved to Taos, my life is kind of topsy-turvy. I'm having a really hard time with trust and control, and trying to figure out what the hell where the hell my life is going and what I'm doing. And I thought I was in a relationship, and now I'm being ghosted, and it's like I don't quite understand, and I want to be in control. So what came to me thinking about how you and I met, Billy, and how I'm going to cry. I get to sit here and be part of this tribute to this man that I got to know because of you. I walked into the Grange in Niwot and met you how many years ago? I always ask you this, how many years ago? And it was just a reminder for me that, maybe I don't have to be in control of my life. Maybe I just show up, and things that are supposed to be in my life will be in my life. And so thank you, Jeremy and Billy, for that. Because who would have ever thought that I would have met you and you would have brought Jeremy, and I would have had this opportunity to have those precious moments with him, and then to be able to still be here with you all, and especially what Billy's doing and the podcast with Royce and everything. And anyway, thank you, Jeremy, for that reminder that I don't have to be in control of my life right now. I just have to show up. So the other thing that happened with Jeremy is when I went to the first retreat with Billy at Sunrise Ranch, is that what it was called? And I met Jeremy, and I was like, oh, I'm going to meet Jeremy Taylor. I'd never done Billy's retreats before. And they pulled my name out the very first dream that Friday night. And I was like, oh my God, not only am I meeting Jeremy Taylor, my dream is being pulled first. And it was a recurring dream about a hotel and not being able to find my key. And Jeremy's projection was if it were my dream, I'd have a book to write. And Billy goes, what? Where did that come from?
Duck and cover. Yeah. Like, where the hell did that come from?
And I, at the time, let's see, I graduated, I got my PhD in 2002, and this was in 2008, I think, that I did this retreat.
Yeah, 2009, because I was back at Sunrise in 2009. After the haunted.
7 years later, when I got my PhD, my doctoral committee had said, it was on Mother's Not Feeling Good Enough. And my doctoral committee said, this is good stuff. You have to write a book. So I tried to submit proposals and got rejected about 5 times and threw it in the closet and said, forget this shit. I'm not going to do that. So when Jeremy said that, I was like, oh my God, that's right. I got all these notes in my closet. Literally, it was in this closet that was jammed in this little condo I was living in. And I dug it all out. And I went to trying to find all the old files. It was before we had the fancy computers that we have now. And for the next 5 years, it took me until I finally found a publisher. And here it is. And I asked Jeremy to write the foreword for me. So that's my little piece of Jeremy. Patty has learned through her experience that perfection is the enemy of truth. And the truth ever and always is paradoxical and sometimes slow to reveal itself. It is also true that the perfect should never be allowed to be the enemy of the good. Patty applies these two immensely valuable and universal understandings to the very real and demanding experience of bearing children and looking after them with love and understanding until they are sufficiently mature to flutter off the edge of the nest and look after themselves as young adults, at which point the job transforms paradoxically once again. Mm. And then I'm not going to read all of it, but the last paragraph, men or women, parents or childless, we were all initially the children of women who became our mothers when we were born. Understanding the interior and external social realities that our mothers faced raising us is, I believe, a necessary part of our own development and healing. Thank you, Patty, for making that archetypal task more understandable and achievable. And I remember,
Patty, would you hold up the title again?
Living in the Shadow of the Too Good Mother Archetype. It was published in, I think it'll be 7 years. Speaking of 7 years, 7 years that it took me. So 7 years ago. And my publisher was like, I'm not exactly sure. And he had something in there about the devouring mother. And I took that out because I thought, my publisher thought this was all a little over the top anyway. But I think the piece about paradox, and it's come up a couple times in our conversation, is one of the big things that I've learned from him and from Billy, being the most difficult thing for us is to embrace that both and. Wow. Like Royce was saying, it's, and what you said, Lisa, about I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And yet there was this, because I am in this place in my life that's really precious. So anyway, again, I'm so grateful for being able to continue to remember him and share these stories, and especially for Billy and Laura and the friendships that we've developed through the years, and all of you really. But I'm grateful. And Billy, Cheryl, I love you. And
love you too. Love you back.
All of us, and continuing with Rocky Mountain Institute study. What is it?
The Rocky Mountain Institute for Projective Dreamwork.
Yes.
Well, and enough, it came out to be almost like MIPD with just add an R at the beginning. So it looks close.
I feel that that's important for Jeremy to live through this work. So thank you for doing that.
Well, thanks for mentioning it. Yeah. So Denise, you came out of the bowl.
Well, thank you. I was going back through my notes and looking if I had, any specific things. I do know that the first time how I ended up meeting Jeremy was kind of a synchronous event, in that I had joined the Washington Society for Jungian Psychology, just because I was interested, and somebody put together a dream group. And I started going to this dream group, and the person who facilitated it was a little bit disorganized, and there wasn't a lot of, I don't know, we were kind of stumbling around. And there was a great bookstore at the time that was not far from my house, and I spent a lot of money there. Periodically, my husband does the bills, and periodically he would say, "Dear, do you know how much you spent at Chuck and Dave's last month?"
Yeah.
So here I went into the bookstore one day, and here was this book called Where People Fly and Water Runs Uphill. And I picked it up and I started reading it. I thought, holy smokes. So I take it to the dream group and say, "Oh, I got this great book." And this one woman in dream group said, "Oh, I know him. He married me and my ex-husband 25 years ago. And oh, by the way, he's coming to town in 3 weeks." So we all in the dream group trotted off to the workshop. There was about 60 people there. I knew from nothing. And I remember at some point, at the end of the conference, there were like I said, there were 60 people there, and the vast majority of the people there, like me, were not familiar with dream work, dream groups, any of that stuff. And it is safe to say I was blown out of the water. And that here this man took this group of pretty much strangers and created this cauldron of safety and sacredness and awe and trust and everything. And at the end of the workshop, I remember standing up in front of all these people and saying, "So, where have you been all my life? I have been waiting for you all my life." And it was just the most amazing thing. And if he got within 4 hours of the Washington, D.C. area, I mean, there I was. And one of the things I remember about Jeremy was he always had all these T-shirts. And I loved it when he wore the one that said, "I'm only wearing black until they invent a darker color." And I just thought that was the greatest, And then a number of years into the whole process, I had a relatively serious health issue show up. And I had 3 dreams about it. One was a very literal diagnostic, prognostic dream, and with a doctor in it who later turned out to be the surgeon that I went with, who I had never met before. And the other 2 dreams were symbolic, that reinforced the message of the first dream, which was, "Don't worry, kid, you got this." And I was unspeakably grateful. By then I had probably been, I don't know, to 3 or 4, maybe 5 workshops. But, I remember sitting down and writing this long letter to him saying, if it weren't for you, and this work, I would probably have been pretty scared out of my mind and freaked out. And I was many things. I was diagnosed with a very early form of breast cancer. And I was many things. I was aggravated. I was sad. I was annoyed. I was pissed off. I was frustrated. I was like, oh man, but I was never frightened. Never, ever, 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 ever frightened. And in fact, my late sister said to me, "I was getting freaked out because you weren't getting freaked out." I said, "It's real simple, Karen. I've been working with this guy. All dreams come in the service of health and wholeness. And my dreams have been saying from day one, no worries. Don't worry about this." I said, and every single healthcare professional I came in contact with during that time, I shared this. And everybody was extremely respectful. And in fact, the radiologist that had done mammograms for me for 100 years took me aside one day and said, "Got any books you can recommend? I've always sort of been interested in this." And so I owe not being freaked out. I just owe all of my ability to sort of go with this to the work that I had been doing with Jeremy. And if I had had any question whatsoever before that about the value of dream work, it was completely gone, because here it is, all dreams come in the service of health and wholeness. And I just feel, and always did, I felt enormously grateful to this man, because he did in fact change my life. And I had always sort of been looking for a spiritual path. I was not churched. I was not raised up in any church. And this is my spiritual path. And, you know, I owe it to Jeremy, because, you know, had he not showed up, I mean, I read the book and it was kind of knocked me on my keister, but it was meeting him and experiencing his wisdom, his kindness, his compassion, his encyclopedia head, you know, that really helped me just kind of say, this is a path for me.
All right. Well,
And, you know, every time we talk dreams, think dreams, have a dream, remember a dream, write a dream down, I say, Jeremy's here.
yeah. Wow. Thank you.
But I keep looking for that t-shirt. I'm only wearing black until they invent a darker color. I just thought that was a fabulous t-shirt.
The one I liked was it had the word think, and then there was a box on the other side. And I thought, now that's clever.
Uh-huh.
I love it. So Donna, you came out of the bowl finally.
Okay. Yeah, along with Susan, we had a lot of work with Jeremy here on the East Coast, and I do think they were tougher trips on him, especially as he got older and Kathy got more ill.
Where are you, Donna? I'm interrupting you, but where are you?
I'm in the Hudson Valley along with
okay.
Susan. I know, Denise, you know Phyllis. Okay, and Phyllis is she's about an hour and a half north of us. Okay, Susan's in Hyde Park. I'm actually in Accord. Phyllis is up close to Albany.
Yeah, we visited Phyllis last summer.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And Phyllis I still facilitate, if you want to call it even facilitate, but I organize through Zoom dream groups practically every other week. And Phyllis does still join us along with a few other people. And there is one male in the group, and he's a precious member along with everybody else.
Wow.
But I started going to workshops with Jeremy up at Miriam's Well in Saugerties for several years. You know, he as everybody else said, he changed my life completely. Learning about the toolkit and then realizing how important it was for me to apply it outside of dream work, just in everyday life, in my relationships with people at work and stuff like that. It made it so much easier to say things that I wanted to say and not have it feel offending to the person I was talking to. You know, I just learning how to speak was such a gift that he gave me. And I'm forever grateful. You know, in my opinion, he was a master teacher, and I consider myself a pretty good student. So it was a match that was immediate, and he just was such a wonderful, wonderful man. And in addition to many years up at Miriam's Well, then when they stopped having retreats and stuff like that, I picked up, and he came out and did several retreats that I put together in New York. And at least once, if not twice, we did do it through Zoom later when he wasn't traveling. And I'm so grateful. And you know, carrying his CPAP and everything else, you know, I like you said, I knew it was a struggle for him, but he was so dedicated to the work and so dedicated and caring of the people. You know, the fact that he would do that for us, you know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he devoted his entire life to all the rest of us. And, you know, we're all the beneficiaries of that. I certainly am. So I didn't think we were going to have as much time to speak as we do have, but I wrote a little something because I felt as though my journey to finding him was a little bit like following cookie crumbs, you know. It was something that certainly was meant to be, and I'm so grateful for it. But I did write a little something about the journey, and it's called "Feeling the Buzz: How I Met Jeremy Taylor."
Mm-hmm.
A friend gives me a book by Christiane Northrup, "Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom." While reading, my whole body buzzes at the mention of a name I've never heard before, Carolyn Mace.
Huh.
In a store, a book falls off a shelf into my hands and I feel a buzz. Why do I recognize that name? Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Mace. Just what I need to read right now. My soul wakes up. I travel far and wide, seeking a path for my soul. Now I learn there is a retreat center in Saugerties, practically in my own backyard. Let's try it. I go there to hear a man speak who others rave about. I've heard him before and not been impressed. Maybe I missed something. Let's try again, now closer to home. When I arrive, the room is alive with contagious energy. I missed the speaker from last week who has everyone energized. My whole body is buzzing again, and I know that this is the real reason I've been led here tonight. I bow my head, smile, and silently acknowledge that now I understand. It is not the person I've come to hear this night that has the wisdom I so desperately need, but another man, Jeremy Taylor, who has already come and gone without my knowledge, whom I will follow when next he returns to Saugerties, and for as many years after that as I can. That buzz has never led me astray.
All right. Yeah.
So that was my journey to finding Jeremy, and I'm so grateful that I did. I do have a few pictures from one of those retreats, so I try to share them. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There you go.
Let's move this out of the way. So this was up at Wyndham with our male person who joins our group regularly, and Jeremy, of course, and another one. And you know, he's so wonderful in every group. That was it.
Lovely place to meet.
Okay. So, okay, how do I unshare now?
There's stop share. It will be somewhere.
Okay, I see it now.
Stop share.
Okay, good.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all. Okay.
Pictures that I can't say your name. found her pictures.
Oh yeah. You want to go ahead, Young? You want to share your pictures now? It's set up to where you can share screen share. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you. We're mute. You're muted. There you go.
I'm so sorry. In this moment, I lost the file again.
Oh no.
Yeah, which give me 1 minute more. Yeah, and then during the time, I think I can find it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, while you're looking, I'll share a couple of quotes, my favorite quotes of Jeremy. We are uniquely and selectively blind to our own dream material. That one was a big one for me to learn. The shadow holds behind its seemingly unredeemable face the very thing I need. This is way too important to take my word for it. And so I'll try this. He used to do this spiel that I just loved. He said, I'm just the little boy out with the penny whistle outside the circus tent, trying to get you to come in and see Jojo the dog-faced boy for yourself, because these crude renderings on the side of the tent do not do him justice. This is way too important to take my word for it. So he used to say that over and over. So that was my only conflict with him was over all the years we worked together. He insisted on spending a whole lot of time on the Dream Work Toolkit, even though many of us in the group had been there many times. You know, I'm saying, Jeremy, this is like a repeat group. You know, they're all here. They're staying overnight. You don't have to sell them on the workshop for tomorrow. But he was so into that rhythm of doing the Friday night opening, and so often we had conflicts about that. So finally, I grew up and I said, you know what, Jeremy, I'm gonna do the DreamWork Toolkit on Friday night so we can move on and open a dream. These people have they've already paid their price to see Jojo the dog-faced boy, so it's okay. We're here. So I wanted to share something that my friend, a good friend of ours, Suzanne Rouget. Okay, now I'm gonna have to turn off my blurry background so you guys can see my very messy office here in a second. Let's see, I'll change.
Billy, you were worried about your messy office, but I remember Jeremy's office was a hell of a
Yeah.
Anyway, if you can see this is it's impossible to scan because it's so large. But this is a picture that Suzanne, right after Jeremy passed away, and she happened to be here in the Boulder area, and she brought this by, and I'll read this. It's quite beautiful what she said. Today the archetypes are weeping the loss of their tether to the earth. No longer anchored by his powerful presence, Jeremy Taylor's solid, soft expression of the divine masculine is no longer in form. The light of his being continues to ignite the hearts of many with hope and patience, instilling a desire to wake up within the dream of this illusion we share and take action. In remembrance, first, the tear crosses the threshold, then the trickle, stream, and torrent that floods the heart, causing it to spill over in sweet sadness around the globe. Next, like individuated droplets, the adjectives fall to describe the heroic bright shadow character of my dreams: loyal, creative, faithful, feminist, faithful to Kathy, vast intelligence, deep knowing, wisdom, funny, happy, fulfilled by mission, forward thinking, genuine, global, impactful, honest, sincere, authentic, cautiously pessimistic, perceptive, profound, kind, patient, community builder, social activist, universalist, naturalist. It goes on, connected, mindful, thoughtful, considerate, divine expression, sensitive, aware, safe surround, vulnerable, awakened, open-minded, connects the dots, intuitive, instinctual, clear vision, facilitating goodness, power, not force, the mastery of presence, balanced male energy, hopeful, helpful, uplifting, with solace and strength, true compassion. Then there is a knowing that Jeremy has joined the archetypes in their jubilant puppetry, casting silver strings of light connecting all who are tethered to his welcoming heart. And so the consort lives on through the ethers, my dear friend. I am that, inspired by you. I have my reading glasses on my head and I was reading, but there's that part of that he taught all of us, that prayer, that, I am that. So anytime I look, and that's how projection works, that's me. Whatever I see, I am that too. So there's deep understanding in that. The part about the projection piece, that's what was truly life-changing for me.
Could you say those first two things that you said before you went into Suzanne's thing?
Oh, we are uniquely and selectively blind to our own dream material.
Yes.
And the shadow holds behind its seemingly unredeemable face the very thing I need. Isn't that good?
So good. So good.
Yeah.
That's why that toolkit was okay over and over and over.
I
It was just gold.
And let me just say, I wish I would give anything for him to do that again,
To listen to it.
to listen to it again.
Oh boy, I know. I understand what you're saying.
Well, every once in a while when I need a fix, there's a number of videos on YouTube. And so I just go and watch them and listen to them and grok.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some video, there's a conversation that Jeremy and I have after hours from one of the retreats, and it's up on YouTube as well. And it's in my signature block also on my emails. So I can, if you want to, we talk about a lot of different stuff, but that's a place to get another Jeremy fix. There's a lot of Jeremy stuff. Elizabeth, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I actually found some photos from a retreat.
Oh,
If you guys are interested.
well, Inyon, did you find your stuff now? Are you ready to share? Because we keep coming back to you. Are you ready to share? I'll let her share first, and then we can go to you, Elizabeth.
That's fine.
Are you ready?
Yeah, thank you for
Okay.
that. But I think there's something wrong today. So it was already, I'd like to show. Yeah, I found a picture of his dream journal, the cover. I think you remember that.
Right.
That's very unique cover of his dream journal. I found that, but it's gone now.
Oh no,
again. So,
it's kind of a disappearing
sorry.
photo thing going on with you. I'm so sorry. Well, you can send it.
Why so if we meet next year, I'm pretty sure next year I will show you.
Well, the only other one we did was at the 3-year mark. Now this is 5-year. We'll see how it goes. So Elizabeth, you wanted to show?
Yeah, let me see if I can figure it out. Green.
Yeah, if you just go down. Yeah, there you go. Share.
Okay, and hang on. It's
All right.
loading. Can you
Oh,
guys
there's
see it?
Suzanne. Yeah,
Can
there's
you-
Suzanne.
Suzanne, a little out of focus.
Right, that's the woman. For everybody who doesn't know Suzanne, that's the woman, the artwork and poem that I just read.
Yeah,
Suzanne,
she's a pretty amazing artist.
we used to always call her Our Lady of the Floor because she was always on the floor.
Yeah. I don't even remember who these people are, but that was one. I think that one was at the sunrise.
Yes.
Yeah. Bell on a star with the harps.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't remember these guys.
No.
Oh yeah, Bellstar and forget his name, and that's Mike.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And the upper right, that's Rochelle Dillon and Lisa Couch, I believe.
Where?
The upper
And
right
this
on my screen.
upper right. And here? That's
We-
Bellstar, I think.
No, a different one that I'm looking at. That's there's two columns, it's on the top of the right-hand column on my screen.
Top of the right-hand column.
Yeah.
This guy. Oh yeah, this should be minimized. Hang on. What is it? Oh, we went there already. Okay, so what are you seeing?
Well, it's okay. It doesn't matter at this point.
Let's
But
see. Okay, hang on. So
those are a lot of pictures.
give me the, let me move to the other picture. Sorry, how do I get to the next? This is the one we want to see. Him. Can you see, do you see the Jeremy picture?
I can
Yes.
see, yeah, at the top there. Yeah.
Why is it not, you are screen sharing? Does that show it now?
Well, I see a number of pictures. There's like not,
No, it shouldn't. You should see only, dang it. Well, I don't have it at full screen.
oh.
But do you see the big picture of him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're seeing extra large thumbnails. If you double click on that, Elizabeth,
Yeah.
it might come up big.
No, it should be the whole freaking screen. How's that?
No, it's not coming up like that. Well, it's okay. You can,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never, it should be working because I'm pulling it up, but here's one of my favorites. If you can see this guy. One more shot. Open. And down.
If you click on the image, does it get bigger?
Yeah, it zooms it in, but I don't see why you guys aren't seeing it as a full screen.
I'm not
which
sure
is
how.
what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So, and okay, anywho, here is our YouTube.
I see it. Yeah. That goes, what is this, like 2005 maybe?
I think it's in a 2008 folder.
Oh, 2008. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Now, let me see if I can stop sharing this without losing. Okay, I can get rid of this. Because, what happened? Stop sharing. Okay, I think I got it. Sorry.
Well,
We're back.
You're learning how to do this. All right. So is there anything else anybody wishes to share while we'll close up?
Well, I just want to throw this in because I can't not do it, I think. But I was really struck by Royce's comment about the dream about Jeremy shows up 3 different times. And each time that he shows up, he becomes more, I don't think Royce used this word, but sort of dysfunctional, or, less of how I remember Jeremy. And that is the second dream I have heard about in the past couple of weeks where Jeremy showed up made 3 different entrances and became more dysfunctional as the dream progressed. I'm not sure exactly what that says to me, but what sort of strikes at my heart is that sort of passing away of the bright image or the bright shadow.
Yes.
Is exactly what Jeremy would have wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a dream. I shared this in Billy's dream group a time ago. I had a dream. Actually, it was on the anniversary of his passing. in which it wasn't, he didn't show up 3 times, but he showed up once. I was in some sort of workshop class. I don't even know what it was. It wasn't specifically a dream workshop, but it was like a psychology class, and the teacher was talking a lot about dreams. And Jeremy shows up and comes and sits next to me in the back of the room. And in the dream, he doesn't look, he looks kind of disheveled and very, very, very sad. I mean, he looks tired and sad. And in the dream, I was shocked to see him looking so non-Jeremy energetically. And we talked about that dream. And I love what you just said, Susan, because we didn't say that, Billy. When we unpacked my dream, that was a projection that nobody came up with, which is that we're pulling our bright shadow projections off of him and seeing him more in the true light of another person, but we're taking our bright shadows. And I think you're absolutely right. I think Jeremy is ecstatic over that.
Yeah.
But it also
So I'm
says
really glad you shared that, Susan.
it also says to me in a very different way that we are his bubbles. We're or the milkweed seeds, is that we, you know, whoever identifies with him, it, you know, takes him with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I appreciate that projection about Jeremy reclaiming the bright shadow and integrating and letting Jeremy be Jeremy, you know, instead of how many years ago, when I was just starting to work with Jeremy, and I was so thirsty, so hungry for, you know, the consultations, and one time I blurted out, God, I just wish I could put Jeremy in my back pocket. I said this to him. And, you know, he was so good with projective energy and reflections. And I do not remember his words exactly. However, he did not break his promise to project. He kept owning, you know, he just kind of repeated what I said, and it just kind of threw me back, you know, it threw it back to my face. It's like, this is not about Jeremy, we're talking about Royce. This is about Royce. And he didn't say that. And yet it was a beautiful pitch back. In Young, she left.
She had to go to work. That's why she told me in the
Did she
beginning.
say she's from Denver?
She lives in, I think, the Littleton kind of area now, South
Yes.
End.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say something because I'm down in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I can get you in touch with her.
Okay. Yeah, please. Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Anything else anybody wishes to share when we close?
No, I just add that Jeremy was in one of my dreams this month also, and I shared it via email with the group and got a lot of fabulous projections back from it. So I know whenever he shows up in a dream that it's at the very least a dream that I have to pay special attention to.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, Jeremy's moving into, and he already has a long time ago, so I'm not saying anything that I don't think any of us don't understand, but he's moving into archetypal energies. And so for me, some of the distortions of his spirit, his body in my dreams is more about archetypal shifts and changes, in addition to me reclaiming my own bright shadow.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes sense to you all. It makes sense to me.
Lisa, did you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm remembering, when I had my dance with the C word, and I was asking Jeremy, well, what can I do to stay alive? you know, he said, well, make your life really interesting so that the archetypes want to tune in for the next show. Because he said the problem with, a lifetime of working on your consciousness is that the archetypes start to like smell it like dinner's ready. And they want it to come home. So they're going, that's really nice. Let's bring that back into, like you're saying, Royce, into the archetypes. And he's like, so you got to keep them guessing. You got to do really weird things, take them by surprise. Like what is it? The Arabian Nights, how she stays alive for so long.
Sure,
telling
she
the
just
story.
telling stories.
Yeah. So
that's right.
So yeah, I was thinking of that while you were speaking, Royce. So yeah, I have done some pretty bizarre things to keep the archetypes on their toes. Tuning in.
So these kind of conversations, this part of the conversation for me is really meaningful. I appreciate hearing Jeremy's what everybody's remembering about Jeremy's understandings of archetypes and death, and perhaps his own death and ancestral energies and dreams. This is where I want to put you all in my back pocket and converse like this a lot in order to gain the knowledge, the different levels of knowledge and different perspectives that all of us have together for me anyway, to get more understanding about these topics. And Jeremy and I struggled, he struggled with me, I struggled with him about, the mistaken literalism of even life after death.
Right.
And the mistaken literalism of taking an insight that I may have, or one of us may have, and somehow, expanding that into kind of a new commandment and a new version of scripture. And at the same time, I know he went there, with embracing these ideas as not just ideas, and embracing these as belief systems, and also holding up the possibility that all of this is metaphor. And he and I would go round and round about this, not in an argumentative way, just it's like I have to accept this as metaphor, and maybe there are literal expressions of this or not. Anyway, I've got a big back pocket for all of you.
All right. So thank you all for coming, and I appreciate all the stories so much. It just warms my heart, and to remember someone so important to all of us.
Well, thank you, Patty, and thank you, Billy, for putting this together again. It was really marvelous.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
So check out the podcast, Healing Dreams Project. Royce, Viviana, and I have some interesting discussions, and just dive in wherever you want to. You don't have to go in sequence or anything. It's like just whatever is intriguing.
Well, in my projection, we're amazing.
Yeah, we are. We are amazing. We've got some profound things to say. But it's been a lot of fun. And
oh, Billy, let's look. We have a dream hotline that you can call for our podcast, and we will work with your dream, and we will contact you and work with you if you want, your
Right.
dream on our podcast. So
Yeah.
somebody, Billy, can you type that in, the
Yeah.
telephone number in the chat?
Sure, I will.
That would be awesome, because
Yeah.
we can do this and share each other's
It's
richness.
your dream hotline. Operators are standing by. We always say
Dream operators, we're waited. I've waited. We're waiting with bated breath
720-573-919.
or whatever.
It's actually the voicemail standing by. 919-9195. I believe that's it.
Did you put it in
Yes, I did.
chat? I don't see it.
Yes,
I
did.
don't see it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I put it in as a direct message to Elizabeth. Might put it to everybody. Here, everyone. Okay. 720-573-9195. All right. There you go.
So the Jeremy words that are coming to me right now is, so we need to bring this dream to an arbitrary close.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's
It
what
was
I heard.
It was Lisa was saying, I had my dance with the C word. I was like, uh-oh, what is she talking about? And when she said C word, I was like, then I realized, I remembered that she's talking.
I went through a lot of C words too before I got there.
I was like, oh no. And then I remembered, oh, right. She had cancer at some point. Yeah. So I was like, I was like really confused. But anyway, that I appreciate everybody coming today, and thank you so much. I love hearing stories about other people's dreams of Jeremy. I had a long history of dreaming of Jeremy nearly every night. And this was when I was working with him one-on-one as well. I was doing the retreats and groups here locally, but then I had a monthly appointment with them, and I'd have to work on the dream Jeremy every time. And it was quite a process. Talk about pulling back bright shadow. But I learned a lot through that whole thing. It was so interesting to work on so many dreams with Jeremy, with him as the character. So it's been quite a journey. So anyway, thanks again, and
Thank you.
Look forward to
Be well. Happy New Year.
Yeah. All right.
Good to see you all.
Rich dreams to us all.
Great to connect with all of you. I've definitely missed you.
Yeah. Well, and I have Zoom groups happening all the time. Just go to wakeuptoyourdreams.com and sign up anytime.
Fine. Yeah. I work days right now, so I have to find the time.
We've been missing you, Elizabeth. We'd love to see
Yeah.
you.
I haven't been remembering dreams well, but still.
All right. All right. Well, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.